guys, we're going to be doing a little show and tell today. I have this book that I picked up in Akaroa last year at a book fair they were having there that we just chanced upon, and I found this book to add to my royal collection. I'm so happy with it. It was a book published in about, I think, 1897, 98, let me check. But I'm so happy to have it. It was really affordable. Yeah, 1897. So it profiles her reign from 1837 to 1897. So obviously it's not over yet, the reign of Queen Victoria. But I just saw this cover and I think it's so pretty. I love the red colour, which, you know, you don't often see such colourful books from back then. And so whenever I do, I'm like, oh. And then the fact that it was about the Queen, I could add it to my royal collection, was even better. And I thought we could read it together because I haven't actually read it yet. So I thought let's take a little look through together. So the first picture we have on the inside is the Queen on her coronation day. So cute. Who is it by? Mrs. O.F. Walton, author of A Peep Behind the Scenes, Christie's Old Organ, The Mysterious House, etc. It is from the Religious Tract Society of London. So that's fun. And then we get into the, I was going to say the credits, but obviously that's not what I mean. I mean the contents. And so cute. I love when we see the, you know, just the font that they use and everything. It's so 19th century. I love it. This here is Prince Albert Victor, eldest child of the Prince of Wales. So, the grandson of Queen Victoria. So cute. So, the first chapter, Our Gracious Queen, the Little Mayflower. So this person's just describing her birth in Kensington Palace. This is her at 10 years old. Yet although she was a king's granddaughter, very few people thought that the little Princess Victoria would ever be the Queen of England. She had two uncles who were both older than her father, and both of whom would have the right to the crown before him, and they might have children of their own, who would of course succeed them, so it did not seem at all likely that the little Mayflower, as her father and mother called her, would ever sit upon her grandfather's throne. A narrow escape from death. When the little princess was about 6 months old, she was taken by her mother to a pretty place near Sidmouth, I guess it said, in Devonshire, and whilst they were there, the poor baby was very nearly killed. What happened? Her nurse was carrying her about the nursery when suddenly she was startled by the sound of a gun, and the shot came whizzing in at the nursery window and passed just over the head of the dear little princess. Oh dear. So there's a couple of times when Victoria's been nearly shot, which is unfortunate. Oh, and then a few months later her father died, but it says, nonetheless, the princess was a happy, merry child. I love these illustrations in there. It looks like they've just done it in the traditional way that they would do one of these sort of edged illustrations, and then it looks like somebody has taken a like a felt tip pen and just coloured in over it, because it's not done super neatly at all. So that's interesting. I wonder if someone did do that, or if, yeah, they're not all done like that. So there's this later one. So that's interesting. Princess Victoria at her lessons. It's interesting to me how this book is clearly trying to use the Queen's life as an example to others, to children who might be reading this. So for example, it's talking about her schooling, and it says, the lessons were not always easy, and there came a sigh sometimes as the little girl said, what is the good of learning this? Why am I obliged to learn that? She little thought then how useful everything she had to learn would be to her in the wonderful life she was to lead. And this, I think, is always the case. If we learn our hard lessons well and do our very best at the tasks which seem most difficult and tiresome to us, some day we shall be thankful for it and shall see the reason why we had to learn them. So, yeah, very, you know, trying to get the little lessons in there for the kids. So now it's telling a story about the Princess Victoria that is really famous, but very much disputed as to whether it's accurate, because it just sounds so much like a story that someone would make up later to kind of be like, oh, see, wasn't everything just destiny, and isn't it also, you know, lovely and neat and nice? So basically it says how everyone knew that she would become queen, because all of the people who we previously said would be before her in the line of succession, they all died one after another. And so by the time she was about 12, people realised, okay, she's actually going to be the next queen. She is the heir. But she didn't know that, so the story goes. Her mother had kept it a secret from her, kind of wanted her to grow up unaffected by all that. And then the story goes, the next time the Princess Victoria came to her lessons, there she is. She noticed that a paper, which she had never seen before, had been fastened in her English history. "What is this?" she said to her governess. "I never saw it before." "It was not thought necessary that you should," said the lady. Then the princess read the list of names quietly to herself for a few minutes, and looking up at the end, she said, "I see I am nearer the throne than I thought I was." Then putting her little hand in that of her governess, she said, "I will be good. I know now why you want me so much to learn my lessons and to take pains with my Latin. I learned it before because you wished it, but I understand all better now. I will be good." So, yeah, it's very, like, yeah, probably not true. Maybe to some degree, but probably didn't play out quite as perfectly as that. And then it said, "God heard the dear child's promise that day, and by his grace she has kept it, and truly won for herself the name by which we all love to call her, Good Queen Victoria." There's a little picture of her at age 12. So now we get to the story of her being told that she is now queen, and she's asleep when the men arrive to tell her, and they say, "We are come on business of state to the queen, and even her sleep must give way to that." The secret was out. The Princess Victoria had become the Queen of England. The maid ran off in great haste to do as she was told, and when once the young queen heard the news, she did not keep the archbishop and the chamberlain waiting a moment. She jumped out of bed, threw a shawl around her shoulders, and came down in her nightdress, her hair falling over her shoulders, her feet in slippers, and tears in her eyes. And here is a picture depicting her first council. Sir Robert Peel said that he was amazed at her manner and behaviour, at her apparent deep sense of her situation, her modesty, and at the same time her firmness. She appeared to be awed, but not daunted. Another said she provided with as much ease as though she had been doing nothing else all her life. Now we come to her coronation about a year later. So little crown jewels. And we're talking about all of the preparations for her coronation, the state coach, the queen taking the coronation oath, and doing all of these things. Oh, I love all the stories about Dash, her dog. Oh. So this is her coming back from the coronation. It says, "Then the queen heard another noise. It was someone in the palace who was welcoming her home. Who do you think it was? It was her own little dog Dash, of whom, thank you, she was so fond. Poor Dash could not understand why his young mistress had left him so long, and he barked joyously when he heard the sound of the carriage wheels, and knew that she had returned. 'There's Dash!' exclaimed the queen. 'He must have his bath.' And away she ran to put down her golden sceptre and orb, and to take off her splendid coronation robes, that she might care for her little dog." So cute. We then come to the Queen's marriage. Oh, so cute, the Princess Royal. So I guess things have gone well, they've had a kid. Yes, then in November came a new joy for the Queen. Her first little baby, the Princess Victoria, was born. And here we have Prince Albert. We've got Osborne House, that was their favourite house. The Prince of Wales at 6 years of age. Of course, Balmoral comes up, still a favourite of the current Queen. And then we come to the sad part of when her husband, Prince Albert, dies, but it talks also of her mother dying earlier in that same year, and of course the great grief that she goes through. It talks about her visiting sick children in London and all of those things. And then we have the 50th Jubilee in 1887. The Queen completed the 50th year of her reign. There have now been 4 sovereigns of England who have lived to keep the jubilee of their reign over the country. Henry III, Edward III and George III all reigned for 50 years. And of course now we have had Queen Elizabeth II as well. Princess May. So this is, I presume, when the when the Duke of Clarence dies. So he was her grandson, and obviously her son, the Prince of Wales, was the next heir, and then came the Duke of Clarence. And Princess May of Teck is the woman who became known as Queen Mary, because after the Duke of Clarence died, she then married his brother. And see, here it goes. Marriage of the Duke of York. The next great event in the family history was one of gladness and rejoicing. The Duke of York, who was now in direct succession to the crown, married to the Princess May. A warm welcome was given to the royal pair as they went through the country after their marriage. They now have 2 little sons, the Queen's great-grandchildren, and a pretty photograph has been taken representing the 4 generations of royalty. So, yeah. But then we're talking about another grandson of, well, now it says, a reign of 60 years, the memorable year 1897 has now dawned, in which the Queen of Great Britain and Empress of India completes the 60th year of her glorious reign. She's now governed longer than any English monarch, until now. Her grandfather George III only completed 59 years of his reign. She has therefore now outlived by many months the very longest reign in English history. What a mighty empire Queen Victoria has at the close of her 60 years' reign. It has been calculated that she now reigns over no less than 350 millions of the human race. Her subjects are men of all colours, white, black, yellow, brown and red, men of all religions, Protestants, Roman Catholics, members of the Greek Church, Mahometans, Buddhists and heathen, men living at all points of the compass in the far north in Canada, in the far south in Cape Colony, in the far east in the great continent of Australia, in the far west on the shores of the Pacific. I've never heard Australia described as the far east before. I mean, I guess it is in a way, but it's not normally described in that way. But yeah, it's very interesting to see how they talk about those things back then, about, you know, empire and about having people of different races in your empire, because I think now we look back at this time as being a very racist time, and it was, but they didn't see it in those in that way. You know, they thought differently about it a lot of the time, a lot of people, and then you did have people who were just nasty by any standard, by any times morality. But it's interesting to see how, you know, oftentimes people think they're doing the right thing when they're maybe not. And it ends with a prayer, which is not my thing, but not surprising to come from the Religious Tract Society of London. It says, "But let us also pray much for her and for all the members of the royal family. Let us say, not only with our lips, but from our hearts, endue them with thy Holy Spirit, enrich them with thy heavenly grace, prosper them with all happiness, and bring them to thine everlasting kingdom, through Jesus Christ our Lord." So yeah, I'm so happy that I have this book on my shelf. It's so pretty, and hopefully my royal collection will just keep growing and growing. If you enjoyed taking a look through here with me, then hit the like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Go live your best life, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.